Hello and welcome to Health Bytes. Health Bytes is brought to you by the Public Health Unit of the Ministry of Health and Social Development. I'm your host, Public Health Communications Specialist Natasha Ledsome Humphrey. Hello and welcome to this Health Bytes. Actually, this is the first one for 2023. And joining us is our Chief Environmental Health Officer, Mr. Lionel Michael. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much to be here.
Indoor air quality is a hot subject here in the territory with a lot of issues with buildings. And I'm glad to have you on the program today to talk about this and to possibly, give us some recommendation on how we could help persons who may be suffering from this issue. So start us off. What is air quality and why should we be concerned if there's poor air quality in a building that we work or live?
All right, we should be concerned about indoor air quality and about air quality in general because it has certain impact on human health. Human health, the environment, and upon animals also. So it's important for us to have good air quality outside and inside. We mainly do a lot of indoor air quality assessment and inspection in the Environmental Health Division. And so when we talk about indoor air quality, we are talking about the air inside the building and the air surrounding the building and how the air come inside. Excuse me. If the air come inside the building and what is the state of the air? Is it poor or is it good? And we want good air to be in the building where people occupy. And it's important for that to happen because when we say good air quality, we want it to free from contaminants or pollutants. We want no smoke in it, no cigarette smoke, no fire smoke. We want no chemicals, no exhaust from vehicles. We don't want no mold in the building. We don't want no water, no leaking in the building, and so on. So we definitely want to have good air quality, right? And so if we have, that's what constitutes good air quality. And we talk about air makeup of oxygen, nitrogen, and so on, and a certain degree of carbon dioxide. But for the purposes of the discussion and to ensure that we have good indoor air quality, we want to make sure that the building is properly ventilated, good air exchanges and so on. We want to make sure that we don't have the buildup of chemicals and pollutants inside that building. Now, in the BVI and around the world, we have certain pollutants that enter the building. One of the problems we have in the BVI, one type of pollutant is chemicals, maybe exhaust from vehicles, it may be pesticides. Another issue is the humidity inside the building, high amount of water vapor. There might be in high temperatures, it might be too cold in the building. In some buildings that are too cold, so people wear sweaters and certain thick clothing. So those are some of the issues. Particles, we call particulate matter. They suspend in the air, they come inside from the door, from your shoes, and people inhale them and so on. What else? So those are generally, we have carbon dioxide, excessive amount of carbon dioxide in the building. Because where we have human beings, they breathe out carbon dioxide and take in oxygen, and that carbon dioxide must be must be taken out of the building. And so on. We have equipment in the building, photocopiers, printers, shutters, those type of things that give off different chemicals and so on, and contribute to the poor air quality inside the building.
So when you go and you do your inspection and you look out for all of these issues that you've just highlighted, what it is exactly do you use to measure to figure out whether or not there's good air quality?
We use air quality measuring equipment. Right now we are using two pieces of equipment. We use the equipment for measuring carbon monoxide. We hardly ever find any carbon monoxide in the building because that would be dangerous stuff. You can die from that quickly. And so we seldom have that taking place. So generally we want to make sure there's no carbon dioxide. So we use that piece of machine, and we use another machine to measure carbon dioxide this time. To measure carbon dioxide, to measure humidity, and to measure temperature. And you can measure some dew point and so on. But those are the main parameters that we measure inside the building. we just recently got a new piece of equipment that can do a lot more parameters, and we are going to we're waiting on one more piece of equipment, and its way should be in the BVI by now, and we're going to organize some training for that piece of equipment from the Caribbean Public Health Agency, and then we were able to conduct a wide array of testing in building for mold, for particulate matter, PM 2.5, PM 10. That's particulate matter I'm talking here. So yes, so right now we're using some basic equipment, and so we do those measurement and we do inspection. We use our senses, what we call organoleptic inspection assessment. What we see, what we smell, what we hear, what we feel, what we touch, those kind of things. And so we do those assessments in buildings and observation and so on, and determine and make decision based on those type of inspection. We measure carbon dioxide different times of day, because we want to see how it fluctuates and how it varies and so throughout the day. We do it over a period of time, not just one day. We do it, some do it for 3 days, some do it for 2 days, some do it for 4 days, depending on the situation. We measure the temperature, measure the humidity, and we write a report, and we make determinations and decisions based on the data that we get. We interpret them and make recommendations.
So how do you go about assessing building? Is it something done by request?
Yes. People will make, some of the buildings we do, like schools, for example, we do routine. But a lot of reports come in. We get a lot of reports from people, from government offices and some other offices and schools and so on about conditions in buildings. And we will go and do inspection. So yes, it's on demand, I would say. A lot of it is on demand, because people have a lot of concerns about the building in which they work. And they're quick to associate their situation with the building. Sometimes they're correct, sometimes they're not correct. But generally, people associate their sinus problem, their flu conditions, their headache, their runny nose, their itchy eyes, and so on, with the condition, with the work environment, and so on. Then we have to go and assess that. And they quickly tell you it's mold in the building, right? And so we have to go and establish what conditions that are in the building that may lead to mold. Because mold is everywhere. Mold is in all of us homes and offices or cars. Mold, bacteria, viruses are all over. But if you can see mold in a building, it means two things. One, that moisture is coming in from somewhere, because mold cannot grow without water or moisture. Let me say moisture for ease of reference here. Mold cannot grow without moisture. So if you need me to look around, I see black spots, I see white spots and so on, and mildew and so on. I say, well, what is something leaking? Is water coming in from the roof, from the ceiling? Is the air conditioned pipe dripping or something? Is water beating through a window or something like that? So we look for intrusion of water. And in terms of moisture, we measure the humidity and see what humidity is, high amount of water vapor in the air. We measure that and we say this may contribute to the mold problem. It might be mold outside that coming in through windows. The spores may be coming in through windows. Not necessarily mold are growing in the building, but because you may have there might be garbage outside, old galvanized, old board material, maybe trees that mold growing on, and so on. And when the wind blows, they may blow spores inside. So we tend to check outside when we do assessment. We assess outside also to see what is happening outside and then relate it to what is happening inside. So yes, the inspection is up on demand, and we get quite a few requests for inspection in government buildings, in schools, and in some private places.
Mm-hmm. And based on your assessments and the many buildings that you've had to assess over the last, say, year or so, what are some of the common things that you're seeing?
Yes, I was saying that when you find mold and other air quality problems in the building, the moisture is one of the issues you have to look at, and the ventilation. Now, it is important to know that in the BVI, the majority of the buildings have air conditioning. Okay? And we want to make it clear to people, educate people to learn that air conditioning is not ventilation. All right? The word air condition tells you that. The device conditions the air, cools it, the same air in the room, cools it, and then send it out. It doesn't bring in fresh air. It doesn't exhaust stale air. So that is ventilation. That is air conditioning, and that is one of the issues in the BVI, because we don't have ventilation systems, meaning that we don't have air coming in, fresh air coming in through a pipe or through some other device, cool it, and then send it out, and then take out the exhale air. Because all of us four of us in this room now, we are breathing on carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide has to be exhaled out somewhere. The air conditioner going to take it, same air, and condition it and send it back out. Of course, the AC have filters that's supposed to help filter the air and so on. Some of them have to be cleaned periodically and regularly and disinfected and sanitized and so on to ensure that they work properly. But in the BVI, we have air conditioning and not ventilation system. Another type of ventilation system is the windows, for example. Some buildings are hermetically sealed. They don't have no way of air coming in, and that's a real problem, right? Even sometimes you're in your office, your door is locked, closed. There's no way for little air to seep under the door or come around the door, and so on. In some designs in buildings, they have what they call open, a little circle, a little opening that air can come in and air can go out, and so on. They have those kind of things. So we have these challenges, and I think we have to now intensify our efforts and pay close attention when we are selecting buildings for office spaces, is that we have them thoroughly analyzed and assessed, not just from an engineering standpoint and availability standpoint, but from a standpoint of people occupying the space. Because we have a tendency to get a space and put down cubicles and call it an office. We have to look at the architectural design, the spatial design, the functionality, the design of the building, how air will flow, how people come in, how people go out. 'Cause remember when you're outside, walking on the ground and walking outside, you're bringing all kind of thing on your shoes. If rain is coming, you may walk on, and we have to do better with the sewage system. People, septic tanks flowing and so on. People bring things in building on their shoes and so on, and all that contribute to indoor air quality problems. Right? So yes, I must say that we're getting quite a bit of cooperation from members of the business, of the people who make reports, when you make recommendations to improve the working environment and indoor air quality.
Mm-hmm. Now, throughout this interview, I heard you highlight a number of things that contribute to, poor air quality. Can you share with us what we can do to minimize
Yes.
Air quality issues?
Yes. When some of the issues that we find upon assessment of these things is where they have windows in buildings, we ask that people put a little crack in the window, a little opening. From time to time, allow air to flush in. Where our office is located now, we have air coming. We have windows all around that building. In some places they don't have windows. We ask that people may put fans. They may put. We ask them to put air cleaning devices in buildings to help with the situation. We ask them to move carpets from the floor because we have dust mites in carpets, so it can cause air quality problems. We look at the cleaning compounds that they use in the building, where they store the mops, and some people store the mops under the AC, and so on. And chemicals are in the room where AC may be located, and they're going to suck in the chemicals and create problems. So we look at all these things. We look at the general housekeeping of the place, and how the printers are located, how the copiers are located, the shedders are located, and so on, and in relation to people sitting close to them. So we look at those things and we make the necessary recommendation. Some people have gone and get air clean devices, which we recommend to seek people who import those things and to help improve the air quality in buildings. Because some of the buildings are really difficult to improve them in the present state because of the way they're designed and the way they're built. They weren't built for some of them. A lot of them weren't built for offices to begin with, and so the need for space is increasing, and you have to have a space to put people to work. But at the same time, what we are seeing is that one of the negative thing about indoor air quality in the BVI and around the world is the question of decreased productivity and loss of man hours at work, because people not feeling well, people having issues with respiratory problems and so on, and consequently, they take time off, they're sick, they have to go home, they have to work certain part of the day, and so on. So, we want to educate people about choosing buildings, and people who are renting buildings, try to make them office user-friendly as much as possible. Get an architect, come to environmental health for suggestion and advice, because yes, you already invest a lot of money, build a building and build a space, you want to rent it, and if you can't get it rent because people not occupying it, that don't help you. Right. So it's important for people to get proper advice in the initial stages of building the building and the design of the building. And when we make recommendation to town and country planning and environmental health, they should follow them. Just don't design it to get it passed. And you get approval, and then you're going to build something completely different. And then now, when people go in the building, they can't occupy it. You see that? So everybody can benefit if we do it from the initial stages, from the onset, and we design these buildings properly, and we lay them out properly, and so on. That will help the situation.
Definitely. And you definitely alluded to or brought up something that is important to a lot of people, because you hear every day somebody who thinks the place that they're working, where they're working, the building, the air quality is affecting them. So what are some of the signs and symptoms that are associated with poor air quality?
Some of the signs and symptoms we get from the public and from offices that make reports that eye irritation, runny nose, tightness of chest, difficulty breathing, and so on. They feel tired, skin itching, and so on, and things like that. And so we get those kind of signs and symptoms from people in buildings. And invariably, people always tell you, Mr. Michael, environmental health is mold in the building, and so on. Yes, there are times when mold are in the building, but a lot of the time it has to do with the ventilation. Okay. Sometimes people need to open windows, need to open doors, need to take a fan and blow out the air for a while. Need to do those things. We need to try to improve the ventilation as much as we can. We may need structural modification in some places to really improve, because this thing is increasing. The workforce is increasing in the BVI. The need for space is increasing. Even though you work from home, you still have concern about your air quality. Some places are very difficult to work from home, even in your home. And people have to put AC, and AC helps cool the air inside the building and keep you cool and everything. But then at the end of the month, you have an electricity bill to pay, and then people begin to regulate the usage of the electricity, of the AC, and so on. But I really do think that in terms of the symptoms that people are experiencing, it's a combination of factors contribute to that. And I don't want people to lock into mold alone in a building. There's a combination of factors. You need to look at the building itself and do an assessment. Is the building clean? Where the chemicals are kept for cleaning the floors? One time, people show so much chemical clean, in BVI, people mopping the floor and then mix up a cocktail of chemicals. Everything in one bucket, right? And they mop the floor every day, and that becoming gray now in the tiles and something that pass the mop over the rugs and so on, and that create problems, right? And so I don't like rugs at all in buildings, anyway at all. I don't like rugs. So we have to be very mindful of some of the things that can contribute to air quality.
Well, what do you suggest?
Some people are pests. Some people are pests. Some people, there are pests in buildings that roaches maybe in buildings that causing a problem. It might be dust mites may be causing a problem. So we have to investigate the problem properly.
Definitely. So what would you recommend? Because you said we use a whole
myriad
of chemicals.
One chemical at a time.
One chemical.
One chemical at a time. When you're mopping your floor, one chemical at a time. More is not better. No point your Fabulosa, Pine Sol, Dettol in one bucket, mop bucket.
Don't forget the Clorox.
And the Clorox.
Clorox is the absolute one.
Right? So those not doing a better job. One at a time. Vinegar is good to do most things in your home.
So you're saying that we could just mop the floor with vinegar?
You could just mop generally you should mop your floor with water and some form of detergent and then use the vinegar after to sanitize it.
Oh.
But in the BVI, disinfect it. But in BVI, people don't do the steps to combine everything in one. You could combine the water and the vinegar in one and mop it, and that's fine. You don't need to do anything else. But people use Fabulosa, and Fabulosa give a nice smell for 5 minutes. It's a deodorizer. It's not a disinfectant. So those are the things you have to look at. And you don't want to use too much and so on. That will cause problems, immediate and long term, in terms of this odor and becoming green, caught up in the AC unit. Right? You don't want to be burning stuff around the offices, around your home. We don't see a lot of burning in BVI now. The solid waste system is quite efficient. So people collect people waste and so on. So we don't see a lot of burning taking place, apart from down by the site. We have accidents from time to time. But generally speaking, to improve inside buildings, you have to start with the design. Those that existing, people have to try their best to get air quality cleaning devices to improve them. Because nothing you can do to apart from breaking out a part and put a window or something, or pipe in fresh air, and so on. So we have two types. So we have the ventilation, which is very important. If we can get mechanical ventilation, bringing in fresh air, and take out stale air, we'll be fine. Those are not cheap. If we don't have that, if we can have a window in from time, open a window from time to time and allow it to open for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, every 5, allow you to flush the place. Allow that. What else? You're careful in your shoes. We call it footpath transmission, a pharmacy transmission. You bring these things in the offices, and rugs and carpets, and they're there. Look for leaks. Look at the AC unit. Look at the temperature. Is it too cold?
No, I heard somewhere the colder the better.
If you do the research and the air quality websites, they will tell you that the world temperature for coolness in a building is 75 to 72 to 78. 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. I put my AC home at 78 all the time. All the time. But people in an office, why are you in an office and wearing a sweater? That is not, something is not right with the office temperature. So you need to, when they're putting in ACs, they have to properly size it. Okay, so this is why, again, I'm going back to the whole design and maintenance. You have to come and maintain the AC. Cleaners not only clean the floor, you have to wipe down around the window shelves and so. Wipe them down, soap and water, avoid too much spraying of chemicals. Right?
Well, wonderful. We want to thank you so much, Mr. Michael, for coming on the program today and sharing this wealth of information to help us promote, good air quality in our indoors, it'd be our homes or places of employment or anywhere we are inside a building and stuff that we can look out for to keep our air quality at a good level.
I want to mention one more thing there. Sometimes, right, in buildings, what we find in buildings sometimes is the ducting. Some AC, you have the AC, the split unit on the wall. You can see them and so on, but some units some buildings have a duct that bring the air condition. That part of the air condition, not the ventilation system, but the air condition system. And sometimes the ducting have to be clean. You have to put a cloth down in it and clean it out. Get somebody to do all that, because sometimes the particulate matter comes in. And the AC, all that is caught up in the AC unit, you have to clean that out from time to time. So all those kind of things we recommend to people when we go. But generally, we do a walkthrough of these places, get a sense of what is happening, and so on. And then we say, people don't want to hear it's not mold. We have to tell them the truth, right? And when when we make the recommendation, generally they tend to they see improvements in the building. But some of the buildings definitely is a problem because it's difficult to do any form of improvement with some of the existing building because the way they're designed and built.
And you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. If you have an issue with your building, we have our whole department here that could help and come and give you an inspection, tell you some best practices of how you can improve your air quality. You can contact the Environmental Health Division at 468-5110 and speak with Mr. Michael, Henrietta, any one of the staff to see how they can come assist you. Reporting for the Ministry of Health and Social Development, I am Public Health Communications Specialist Natasha Letsom Humphrey. Thank you for tuning in.